Welcome to the Via Stoica podcast. This is the Stoic Quotes edition, and today we're going to look at a quote by Marcus Aurelius, a really good one. But again, I say that about most of the quotes that I read, and that's why we have them on there. You can check them out on our website, viastoica.com. We have them all there, lists and specific pages for Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, some others. They all come with the references, so you can find them in your book because some of the translations might differ, so check them out there. But yeah, we're going to look at a quote today by Marcus Aurelius. There are some different translations, as I said, out there, and I'm going to look at the Gregory Hayes translation. I'm going to start with that at least, and then we're going to kind of dissect the other translations as well. So this comes from book 6 and number 6. And it's a short one. It goes like this: the best revenge is not to be like that. I think that that's a really good lesson that we can all learn and take a little bit more in and apply to our lives. And we have to remember, Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of the Roman Empire, so he was dealing with a lot of shady people, a lot of enemies, especially in politics. And he was reminding himself to not be like those people. And when we look at some other translations, one that I really like is from an annotated edition, and it says the best form of defense is not to become like one's enemy. The best form of defense is not to become like one's enemy. And why I like that, and I'll just go into some other translations as well, because it doesn't use the word revenge, right? I'd like to say something about that as well in a bit. Some of them they start with the best revenge as well. They use the word revenge, and they say, do not be like your enemy. Is not to copy him who that wronged you. It's not to become like one's enemy. So they're talking about the enemy, not to become someone who harmed you, not to be like that, right? But I wanted to focus a little bit on that word revenge first, because in another quote somewhere else, Marcus Aurelius says, you choose to be harmed. If you feel like you've been harmed, you've been harmed. If you say I haven't been harmed, then you have not been harmed, right? So that's something that we need to look at first. And then we can, in my opinion, the way I view it, then we can kind of skip that revenge part, because if you don't feel like someone has harmed you, then there's no need to take revenge out on those people. And if we take that a little bit further, the Stoics would say that someone who does wrong, right, and doing wrong means not making the right moral choice, taking the right moral action, having those judgments and opinions misaligned with what's really happening. If someone does something wrong in that sense, then we should take pity on them. We should take compassion, right? We should instruct them on what the right thing to do is. So there wouldn't be any need for revenge. But we have to remember, Marcus Aurelius was just a human being like we are. And we do sometimes have people who try to harm us, right? At least that's how we feel, and we can have a full episode on that as well on the Tuesdays ones, but this is just focusing on the quote. So that's why I like that form of defense, right? Sometimes we are beyond that moment. Sometimes we just okay, I've been harmed by this person. So the best defense is not to become like that person, right? Not to be and not to take the same actions, not to make the same wrong moral choices, because then we are putting our own soul and character at risk, right? So that's where why I think that this is a really important quote, because the fact that we don't want to become like the other person, whether we want to use the word revenge or defense, that's something up to you. I've always struggled a little bit with the word revenge, as I said, but I still think it's a good word. Why? Because we get, we are in those situations many times, right? We find ourselves there, and then we have to remind ourselves not to be that way. And then when we are progressing in our Stoic journey, at one point that revenge part won't even exist, because then we will be at that part. It's I have not been harmed. And even further, it's I'm not going to blame anyone because they just made a wrong mistake. They already made a wrong choice. And I can show them, hopefully, what the right choice is. And if not, then I can endure them, something that Marcus Aurelius says as well. So we have to keep in mind those things, right? We are making progress. But in that moment, when we do feel like someone has harmed us, don't be like them. Don't be the same, because then they will have, that same cycle of feelings will just continue and permeate. So just be who you are. Take a pause, see what you need to be doing, what the right moral choice is. Sometimes that's just backing off, stepping away. Sometimes that's showing them what the right choice is. And sometimes if there's other people at harm, then you've got to step in and defend them or be there for them. But at the beginning, at the essence of all of this is, don't be like the person who you decided has harmed you, right? I think that that's an important thing to add as well. So this is the quote for today. The best revenge is not to be like that. Or, as it said here, the best form of defense is not to become like one's enemy. Don't be like them. If they've made a choice, you don't have to do the same thing. You still have your autonomy, your self-reliance, your responsibility to do the right thing. Make sure you keep that in mind as you go along, as you meet those people who might frustrate you or anger you. But you have that choice to become angry, and then you can choose what the right action is. Okay, well, this was the quote for today. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, you have all the quotes at viastoica.com. You can check them out there. We do have other episodes here on this podcast. The Fridays are the quote ones. We do have the Tuesday regular episodes where we have either guests on or when we speak about topics and connect them with Stoicism and see if we can put them in a practical way into our lives. If you need some help with this, right? If you need some help with the revenge part, if you need some help with the harm part, if you feel like you're struggling with that, you can book a free consultation right at viastoica.com with one of our coaches. Just have a chat with us for free, and we can see what we can do and how we can help you. We also have workshops, so keep an eye out for those, which we will be hosting every month, and you can find us, you can follow us there. And the rest, thank you very much for being here. We hope you've enjoyed this quote and that it can help you go along with your day. So thank you for now, and we'll hope to see you soon.